for a while. Today's stream is a little different because I am going to be blogging. I shouldn't say today's stream. This is the first of 3 streams today. Let me put my agenda on the screen here for you. So first, I want to mention Nighthawk. We'll get to what that is shortly, and the drinking strategy. So check this out. I got a tankard half full of water. This is just a fun kind of icebreaker sort of thing. We're going to pour in some Sprite for some calories. And the water is both to keep hydrated, to provide some actual calories, because this is basically a calorie-free energy drink. And then we're caffeinating with Celsius. So this is the drinking strategy today. Now, I have 2 Celsius energy drinks that we're going to get through today. And that's how you know that I am serious when I say that we're going to do 3 streams. And this is going to be a minimum of 4 hours of work. I may not stream all 4 hours, but I'm going to stream, I think, at least 3 hours and maybe as many as 6 or 8. We'll see. We'll see how much I want to stream. I'm going to be doing 6 to 8 hours plus of work, but I don't know that I'm going to stream all of it. Actually, I know that I'm not going to stream all of it. I don't know what the proportion will be, but a minimum of 3. Okay. So when I get through this tankard, then we will refill. I have about half more of a Sprite and ordinary sparkling water and that other Celsius. So that's the drinking strategy. Tastes great. Bam. 1 Celsius down. Well, at least poured. Okay, so what's Nighthawk? I am here in my basement. In my house, I have an Orbi. So this is like a kind of like a networking, like home networking kind of pro tip, I guess. So I have some music, I have drums and a guitar, and I wanted to move a secondary office in here. I have my primary working office upstairs. It was in a smaller space upstairs, so I wanted to move some down here. It was getting too crowded, and this will double as I'll be able to record. But I was having, I couldn't get internet access, and I solved it with the Nighthawk. So this is the Nighthawk right here. This is not sponsored or anything, but I just wanted to mention this really cool tool. So today's stream is brought to you by Nighthawk. This one in particular, the A7000, USB 3, and this is how I'm getting internet connection here. We'll do the speed test live for you here. I don't know if this will be accurate since I'm like streaming and stuff at the same time, but we'll see. I got around 200. So it's basically giving the same readings. It might have dipped by like 10 megabits or something. So it's fast. And I have the previous generation Orbi home network where you can only get 3 nodes on your network. And so this is reaching all the way across my basement. On the other side of my basement, I have a router. And this lets me reach to that wirelessly and very, very fast. There is the new Orbi Armor, I think it's called. I'll be getting that later this year. But it's not cheap, right? This thing is expensive. So, you know, for many people, this Orbi Armor, that's sort of the next series where it supports 4 nodes, and then I'll be able to hook directly into one of those nodes from my desktop, and it'll be even faster for gaming and for music and streaming and so forth. This will be out of reach for a lot of people. The Nighthawk, I think, is not really out of reach for most people. This is a great solution. Okay. That's just our warm-up, our kickoff. So let's start blogging. First, we're still doing sort of warming up, believe it or not, because the first blog is going to be a quick blog that's maybe not super interesting. Or maybe it is. That's on effective altruism and Sam Bankman-Fried. So Phil Magnus is a smart dude who I agree with a lot, but he has been on a tear against effective altruism, and I'm frankly confused about why. And I asked him about this, and one of his reasons was that Sam Bankman-Fried is involved in the effective altruism movement. And so, you know, that sucks, I guess, because he's kind of a scumbag, right? And he's been like tricking a bunch of people. I'm grabbing a snapshot over here and I'm censoring some information out, and I'll use this in the blog. That's what I'm doing on this other screen. Okay, let me, I think I've blotted this out effectively at this point. This looks so stupid because it's just like I'm like scribbling over the name in the picture. Okay. Oh, well, that was dumb because I still have the name in a different place. More scribbling, more scribbling. Sorry about that. And so I just want to quickly blog that I think that this is sort of a red herring, basically. He was involved in the effective altruism movement, but the stuff that he did that was problematic had nothing to do with charity. And in fact, the effective altruism movement teaches like directly against this. Okay, so this, and then I'll copy that. So this is the image that I'm going to use. We can even do some more scribbling, although I think it's pretty well blotted out at this point. I think we're good. Okay, and this article from Business Insider as well are going to be the we're going to be responding to these. My monitor over there is blinking. I don't know why. Hi, John. What's up, Candy? How's it going? Hey, head over to YouTube or Twitch if you want to see the full screen. TikTok. Love my TikTok viewers, but it's kind of hard to see, isn't it? Okay, so here's my blog, afterecon.com. The homepage has gotten a slight facelift here over the past couple days. Blogged this one yesterday. Socials and community. It used to talk about a survey. The survey has been ripped out, so there's no survey anymore. But now you can click and see my socials. I should make that open in a new tab, shouldn't I? Let's update that real quick. Where are my coders at? We're just going to do a target_blank very, very quick. So here's the href for the socials and community, and then we'll do target =_blank. Okay, update that. Go to the page. Now if I click this, it's a new tab. Cool. Yeah, and so that's new. So call to action that people can go over here and they can see, connect with me on Twitter and YouTube and TikTok and Discord and everywhere. The Coding Life store, where you can get merch, my GitHub portfolio. Yeah. So that's been added, and then also driving some people over to Optimality, which again, I would like this to open in a new tab. So let's update that really quick. Because I have a second blog that I'm trying out on Substack, basically to see if Substack is like more visible, if more people go read blogs at Substack, if that's a better way to get my messages out. Okay. So check that out too. I've blogged over here recently as well. March 25th, what's today's date? The 7th? Today's the 26th. So yeah, I put a blog article out on both blogs yesterday. So if you're worried that, one or the other you'll be missing out, obviously you can join both. My newer stuff is mostly on Optimality over here, but I avoid posting multiple times in the same day. So that's why the overflow will come back here to the old TikTok. And then also if there's a topical fit for Optimality, and what is a topical fit, you can read this inaugural article Here's the TLDR. If it's a topical fit, I'll prefer to put it here. And if it's not, this is sort of like a miscellaneous bin where I'll put kind of whatever I feel like blogging. Okay. And so I think this effective altruism thing is a better fit for the miscellaneous bin. You could argue it fits into optimality because effective altruism is related to applied economics. So, you could argue it either way, but I'm going to put it over here. Okay. Because I think it's going to be a quick, I don't know that it's going to be a super high value post. Yeah, so keeping the quality bar for that new one a little bit higher. So let's draft the post. Some have argued that Sam Bankman-Fried, let me make sure I'm spelling this right. So the term effective altruism does not pop up in the Business Insider article. Here's how to spell his name. Sam Bankman-Fried is has engaged in problematic behavior that is well documented, that is highly documented at this point. And let me just directly look for Phil Magnus on this and see if I can find him mentioning effective altruism, or I might just search yeah. Once a golden boy of the crypto industry. So where does this is sort of like hidden. It's like hidden in a carousel. That's not great. It's a site, is it? And it's behind a paywall. Awful, awful, awful. So maybe I should just search Sam Bankman-Fried effective altruism directly. Let's look. I don't care. Like any of these sources work for me because I'm not trying to get like an analysis. I just want to cite that he was related to effective altruism, and I want it ideally not behind a paywall. A prominent follower of effective altruism. Okay. Not even calling him a leader, just saying a prominent follower. A member of the community. An adept. Has identified himself as an adept. I wish they cited that. Where did he do this? All the pop-ups, y'all, go away. I think I would probably want to avoid this one. Oh, of course, it's Time has more pop-ups than anyone else. Leaders, and this one says leaders in this case, were repeatedly warned that he's like a bad dude. And they took money from him for their charitable causes. Oh no. So is this the argument? Is that it's not that he's like leading effective altruism, it's that he's giving to charities And that's the problem because they're like, they took his money. That's the problem. Call me crazy. If I was in a charity, I'd probably take his money too. Even if I knew he was an idiot. Like, I'll take your money. I'm going to do my stuff with it, not your stuff. Multiple leaders knew about his red flags. Okay. Cool. So maybe that's the best site because it says he gave money. Sources say what source, what money, tens of millions of dollars for these causes. Where? Where did he donate? Who? What is an effective altruist cause? So my understanding of effective altruism is you just want to donate money efficiently. And this is what the blog article is going to be about. Because the idea that there's like effective altruist causes, I'm really confused about. Like effective altruists, as far as I'm aware, are just, it's like charity in general, but doing it more effectively. It's not like they have an agenda for a certain policy or something. Co-founded the Center for Effective Altruism. Let's look at this. So did he give money? Did he give money here? Falling for this deception. So if you fell for this deception, okay. Does it mean you gave him money and that's what constitutes falling for a deception? Serving briefly as director of development at this center, right? So this is like bad. So he served as a director there. Okay. So I think we've established that he's like involved with effective altruism, although the details are not super clear to me. But that's okay. I think we have enough to posit that he is involved in effective altruism, and what that means in particular is that he worked at this center. Is basically at a minimum what that means. And that also maybe he donated to some centers like this. Which I'm not sure that that's problematic, but okay. Sam Bankman-Fried has engaged in problematic at this behavior that's highly documented at this point. And here we can go for that Business Insider article. Okay. He has ties to the effective altruism movement that will be noted shortly. He has ties to the effective altruism movement that will be noted shortly. Some have used such ties to lambast the entire movement. I will argue here that this is entirely a red herring and non sequitur. How do you spell non sequitur? Thanks. Okay. Okay, let's close this, close this. That was not a good site. So he's identified himself but there's no link for that, so we really haven't even seen that he's identified himself. If I cite the New Yorker, maybe I'll cite that. This one seems like a better site because we have like, there's an actual connection to a center. And then where's the actual donations? They apparently, before taking, okay, so basically the Time article is the best site we have, basically. So let's go for this. Time notes that SBF, and then let's put in parentheses SBF. SBF Time notes that Time notes that leaders of the effective altruism movement took tens of millions of dollars. Time notes that leaders of the effective altruism movement took tens of millions of dollars from Bankman-Fried's charitable fund for effective altruist causes. I don't see a particular site for this, and I don't know what an effective altruist, and yeah, I don't see a particular site for this. And the notion that there are such things as effective altruist causes strikes me as silly. Effective altruism, after all, is about engaging in charity more efficiently, not some particular political agenda, or niche concern. Let me give a shout out to Charity Navigator. Okay. I don't exactly know what this means. Time notes that leaders of the effective altruism movement took tens of millions of dollars from Sam Bankman-Fried's charitable fund for effective altruist causes. I don't exactly know what this means. I don't see a citation for what money was given to whom for what reasons. And the notion, okay. Still, we know that there was some relation. notes a tweet from about his perpetrated Okay. Okay. Went on to lead Bankman-Fried's philanthropic arm. Are they going to mention that he was director there? Let me look for the word director. Yeah, so the New York Magazine, so this is a great example. Intelligencer. How do I cite this thing? Is it New York Mag or is it Intelligencer? This is New York Mag, right? Okay, and then we want to talk about what is the alternative. We'll do that in part 3. I think this will be a 3-section blog. So there's the ties summarized, SBF's like how do SBF's actions relate to EA? Okay. So still, we know that SBF has some relation and impact on the EA community. At the same time, is it time or times? It's time. Time article notes a tweet from this guy. Okay. The last, I want to find a site that he was director. She's the executive director. Oh, I should also link this. Okay, EA ties summarized. Include Christian analogy to racism. Instead of how do SBF's actions undermine EA? They don't. Cool. So I need the last site before I can move on from the first section. This says, after serving briefly as the director right here, but I don't want to cite a forum. SBF was director of development at the Center for Effective Altruism. Okay, cool. He spent a couple, and before that gave away half his income during this stint on Wall Street. So giving away half his income doesn't seem really like a problem. Perhaps the most incriminating tie is noted by Cointelegraph. They say, is the T capitalized in Cointelegraph? Coin, they just capitalized the whole thing. That's hardcore. Coin, wow, over there as well. Okay, down here, it's just the C. And it's Cointelegraph magazine. Cointelegraph magazine. Okay. Okay, and so we can immediately continue down here. Cool. So the problem clearly lies in his employment as a leader in the movement and at the problem clearly lies in his employment as a leader in the movement at the Center for Effective Altruism in particular, not in his participation as a donor. This leadership was extremely limited. It was not problematic to the extent that his actions accord with effective altruism as a movement. The entire problem is the possibility that he may have, or the entire problem is the extent to which he abused his role to render altruism ineffective. Okay. So the non sequitur. Let's who's like a famous bad Christian, or a famous, or I don't know. Let's not even say Christianity, against some religion, against a hypothetical. Jim is bad. Jim was a foobarist for a while. Therefore, foobarism is bad. See, this is less impactful because in the case of Christianity, it argues directly against racism. Consider a similar argument against Christianity. Jim is bad. Jim identified, or it's more than identification, right? Because he is like actually employed. Jim was employed at an organization. Jim was employed at a church for a while. Therefore, Christianity is bad. This is particularly apropos because, and let's say racist. Jim is racist. Therefore, Christianity is racist. Christianity teaches directly against racism. Neither do this is unfortunately a rather common, what do you call it when someone makes a logical mistake? Okay, it's a fallacy. This is unfortunately a rather common fallacy. Instead of addressing the should we call effective altruism an ideology? Let's just call it an idea. Instead of addressing the idea of effective altruism directly, critics will point to some individuals that make mistakes and have some relation to the idea. It's, yeah, like what more can you say? It's just a non sequitur. It's a simple red herring. And let's look at the alternative. That is a bad link. Edit, edit, edit. It's a simple red herring. Yeah, more plausibly, this undermines the judgment of the leadership of the Center for Effective Altruism in particular. More plausibly, this undermines the judgment of the leadership of the Center for Effective Altruism in particular. But this center, but this organization, but yeah, again, this doesn't undermine the idea itself. Consider an analogy. It's analogous to arguing that because the Black Lives Matter organization misused donations, Black lives don't actually matter. It's a completely inappropriate. Like line of argument, as far as I can tell. Okay, what is the alternative? Despite all of the obvious problems in the criticism of EA by association to SBF, despite all the obvious problems in the criticism, let's go ahead and grant it and see what happens. The consequence would be, the logical consequence would be that donors should not have an interest in effective altruism. The alternative would be ineffective altruism. We can easily see that this, we can easily see that effective altruism is preferred to ineffective altruism. So we further disprove the criticism by argument ad absurdum. Is it argument ad absurdum? Is the right term? Argumentum ad absurdum. Reductio ad absurdum. This is the better term. Reductio. So we further disprove the criticism by reductio ad absurdum. Okay, we'll leave it there. What are we at? We're at 40 minutes, 45 minutes. All right, that's long enough. Post, what is this related to? I don't know. Other, I guess. Tags effective altruism. Sam, how do you spell this guy's name again? Bankman. Because I say Bankman-Fried, but it's spelled like fried, which keeps throwing me off. Sam Bankman-Fried, New York Magazine, I guess, because that's what we do. Charity Navigator. Charity. Reductio ad absurdum. You could consider this like a case of applied philosophy. So maybe I should check the philosophy box. Let me give it an applied philosophy, an applied philosophy tag. Red herring, fallacy, Christianity, why not? It's not really about Christianity, but these are kind of keywords that might get results. Racism, Center for Effective Altruism. Okay, that might get some hits. What else? Non sequitur, and I think that would be about it. Publish, cool. So we're down here. Oh, and now I'm supposed to be able to do 20 minutes for this other blog. I have already started it, so that's a good sign, but I don't think that I'm going to get there within 20 minutes, but we'll see. The SBF EA red herring. Okay, so we get here. And now, let me go to my drafts. How's it going, TikTok? Let's see. Don't see any open questions. Cool, cool. I could take a break, but I don't really need a break. So yeah, let's keep going. And this will be nice because I'll get to draw the line at blog, and then I'll have a different stream where I'm not blogging. I like that. Okay, so drafted posts. 5 GPT-4 studies drafted. Okay, so This article provides abstracts, target journals, target grants. This article provides abstracts, target journals, target grants, and some preliminary designs for 5 studies. The goal of this article is to apply the build in public mindset to research. These studies are still in a grant seeking and preliminary design phase. Cool, so here's the outline of studies. Control S, we're saving. Okay, we got the self-assessed research quality. I think this abstract's done, but let me just review it to like reread it, kind of revise thing. GPT-4 is cutting edge multimodal model. It can be used as a writing assistant, but such models have a number of known problems. This is going to be a standard boilerplate in all of the abstracts. The study assesses GPT-4 by self-assessment. I can drop research quality. Supervision of the model is minimally applied through research question selection and providing the model information about itself from OpenAI, its creator. The model is asked to describe guidelines. Maybe I should say best practices. For use of tooling. The model is asked to describe best practices for use of GPT-4. Let me just be specific. GPT-4 as a research, as a writing assistant. Can I say research writing assistant? Let me say research and writing assistant. Okay. And then I need to update the other abstract as well, I think, because this is a standard boilerplate that I've used. Okay, but that's in a different document, I guess. The model is asked to describe best practices for use of GPT-4 as a research and writing assistant, to describe the benefits and problems in using GPT models for research. GPT-like models does make sense. I can say GPT-like tools. I could just say GPT-4. I could say of such use, to describe the benefits and problems of such use. And to describe whether GPT-4. See, the reason I'm saying GPT models instead of GPT-4 is because the idea would be successor models, 5, 6, 7. The risk that I'm worried about is people reading GPT-3 or 3.5, which are inferior models. And there are many, many cases where GPT-4 works and GPT-3 just doesn't work. So I'm going to stick to GPT-4 here, and then in the sort of like posterior analysis, we can say if you have a better model, so much better. But I don't want to generically use the term GPT models. Whether GPT-4 and to describe whether driving research through question selection let's see. There's really a couple concerns here. One is systematic literature review. Can we use GPT as our first step? Typically, we would go to like Google Scholar. How would we do this typically? We'd use other tools. Yeah, so the question really is whether GPT can substitute for a manual literature review. It really is a question of substitution. It's slightly different than a peer substitution because you are going to have the scholar review the literature review. But in reviewing it, what do? Or if they review it and to check the correctness, they conduct a whole manual literature review. That was just like, what, a robustness check, I guess? Or was it wasted time? It was not a reduction. It was not faster than the traditional literature review. And so these are actually different processes. So yeah, this is a question of substitution. Does the scholar need to execute a traditional literature review? So just reviewing GPT's literature review, I'm going to say that is, we're interested in the case where the scholar, in reviewing it, does not do a full manual traditional check. They're literally just reading it, and if something sticks out, it's like, okay, I'll whack that mole. I'll like fix that piece, but I'm not going to fix that piece by doing a whole literature review. Maybe if they're queued off, maybe if it's like, I noticed like 2 problems, and so at this point, I'm going to just drop it, right? So that seems valid. So maybe the question is like, what % of the time does that happen? So we know that the answer is not going to be, it will never happen. So we should know, we should be prepared to check, and we should have cues that indicate whether, yeah, so let me put a, break this abstract. Okay, and to describe cues, okay, I'll break it on the and, okay? We know that GPT literature reviews will sometimes contain some mistakes. How can a researcher identify such bad product cases without conducting a full manual traditional systematic literature review? I'll just put that question in the background and we'll reshape this momentarily. Okay, so this is going to take more than 20 minutes. We're going to go over an hour or whatever. Bummer. That's okay. I think I can spare up to 30 minutes, and then if we go over that, I'll kill the stream and finish it up on my own later. Okay, so this is a problem, a particular problem that we want GPT to tell us how to address. Should I use a 2-mistake heuristic? So this is a question that I can ask GPT. I want GPT to tell me the answer. But all of this doesn't need to go in the abstract. This should go in the design. Really, this goes under the design. This is more things to feed GPT. So the general design here is feed GPT some information, ask it a question of interest. Ask it a, can be a series of questions. I'll say ask it a query of interest, which may contain more than one particular questions. And then update the output with clearly annotated sections to allow a reader to distinguish. Update the output with clearly annotated sections to allow the reader to distinguish manually authored content from GPT-generated content. Add the whole series of prompts and of prompts to the add the whole series of prompts to the appendix. Add the whole, I don't just want the series of prompts, I also want the response except the final response. Okay, cool. So that's basically the design. Even though it's rough, it's there. Okay, so the background, there's really just one background article. I asked GPT to write about itself. Yeah, this is the one. So there's really just one background article in this study. Well, GPT-4, OpenAI. I mean, you could consider this background as well. Yeah. So I'm going to be feeding GPT for information about itself because it is not aware of itself. If you ask GPT-4, if you ask GPT-4 about GPT-4, it doesn't know because its training set is still limited to September 2021. If I'm not mistaken, it's the year 2021. So GPT-4 thinks that it's GPT-3, unless you tell it, like, dude, you're not. Like, you're GPT-4, and here's what you are. And then it's like, oh, okay. Okay, GPT-4 is a cutting-edge multimodal model. The model is asked to describe best practices for use of GPT-4. See, all this stuff falls into that. To describe benefits and problems of such use, and whether GPT-4 can be used. Instead of like whether it can be used, we should talk about the quality because we know it is possible. It is possible to ask GPT-4 to execute a literature review. It is possible for me to then include that in lieu of my manual work. That is possible. The question is not on possibility. The question is on reliability, accuracy. To describe the benefits and problems of such use and to describe, I don't need to say describe over and over. The model is asked to describe best practices for use of GPT-4 as a research and writing assistant, the benefits and problems of such use, and the accuracy and the correctness of GPT and the correctness of automated literature review. And I will say quantitative. I will make it give me a quantitative. And the quantitative correctness of automated literature review. The benefits and problems of such use and the quantitative correctness of literature review. Executed automatically by GPT-4. Okay. Maybe the quantitative word there is a stretch. I'm curious about it though. I'll leave it for now. I might delete it later. Results indicate that the model is or isn't suitable for driving research. Is or isn't suitable for driving research. I also want to know about the quantitative and the quantitative I want to know about the quantitative expected productivity gains. Instead of is or isn't suitable for driving research, let me say results indicate that the model is or isn't generally accurate in automated literature review. See, generally accurate, like over 50% of the time, yes. It's going to be accurate over 50% of the time. But that's not good enough. What is good enough? Is or isn't generally good enough. When it produces automated literature reviews. Results indicate that the model is or isn't generally good enough when it produces automated literature reviews. Yeah, and I'll let it decide its own definition of good enough. That's kind of the whole point. Results indicate that the model is or isn't generally good enough when it produces automated literature reviews where the model defines good enough. I like that. Results are, and then what about quantitative productivity gain estimates? Results are minimally human revised for accuracy, mainly in the description of. Results are minimally human revised. I'm just gonna, I don't even need that sentence. That can just be a footnote somewhere. Okay. Wow, that took me longer than expected to do that. Cool, so we have the first study. We have this abstract. We have the background, we have the design. Let's clean up the design. Feed GPT-4 some information. GPT-4 is limited in its training data to the year 2021. As a result, it lacks basic self-knowledge. And naively believes itself to be GPT-3. To resolve this issue, I prime GPT-4 with the research on GPT-4 from with the research report with a research report To resolve this issue, I primed GPT-4 with a research report from OpenAI that contrasts GPT-3 I don't even think it talks about GPT-3. It talks about GPT 3.5. Cool. That contrasts GPT 3.5 and GPT-4. I primed GPT-4 including with information, including a research report. I also, okay. I also prime GPT-4 with an article. So the current study is inspired in part by an article printed in an article published in Scientific American. The current study is inspired in part by we asked GPT-3 to write an academic paper about itself. Then we tried to get it published. Is this a double dash or one? That's one really long dash. That's such a weird character. I rarely see that. Whatever. The current study is inspired in part by and then the last thing is I do prime GPT for a bit on so what I previously did is I primed it with this thing, but I don't know if I should. So I'm going to look at that again. Sammy.
Oh, when my friend drew this on the wall, it broke.
Hug.
And it broke again. Broke two times.
Come on. Toys are going to break, babe. We'll get you a new one soon enough.
Yeah.
See you later.
I forget to give you a hug, Nina.
Night. You should call me Dad, by the way. Miss Ellie. Do I hear Miss Ellie?
You do.
Mwah. You did.
Cut my leg.
Where does it go? Right there?
Right here.
That band? That one?
Yeah.
Mwah. It's okay? I love you. Mwah.
Good night, Daddy. My leg.
Do you make money from blogging? Not really. What are you not using Why are you not using GPT for solving this task? I am. I'm not sure what you mean by this task, but the whole study is about using GPT. GPT can't evaluate its own correctness. Oh, it can try. It can try. And that's the whole interesting part of the study. Okay. Over the past 2 years, we rebuilt, right? So this is the content of the OpenAI study. I prime it with that. More OpenAI study. This is, yep, still the OpenAI study. This is, yep. And then here is the Scientific American article. And then I think I gave it something else, yeah. This illicit research FAQ. And this is the part where I'm like, should I? I feel like it's a good idea, but the reason is because illicit basically did what I'm asking GPT-4 to think about. And so if GPT-4 is going to evaluate what can be done, it would be good for it to know what has been done. But I'm worried that it's going to over-index on this. And the reason that I'm worried about that is because I asked it to give me a sample output already. And they cite it like a bunch of times. So one thing that I can do is just tell it to limit its citation of illicit. And that, yeah, see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It cites this one source 11 times, which is bonkers. And it does so within the context of like 3 pages. I don't know if I cited anything 11 times in my dissertation, which was like over 100 pages. Or I don't think I did. Yeah. So but at the same time, there's really good stuff. There's really good suggestions in this illicit thing. Also, GPT ignored me. I told it to target like 6,000 to 8,000 words, I think, and it gave me like under 2,000. So this is why I'm going to want to Pythonize it so I can trial it over and over. I think I will feed it with illicit. I think I will prime it with illicit. Okay. Finally, I am asking, finally, the study. Finally, the study asked GPT-4 about how to use it as a, you know what? It's almost interesting now if we don't give it illicit and then we contrast what it says to do with it with what illicit is doing. It's more helpful to think of illicit generated content as 80 to 90% accurate, not 100% accurate. I wonder how they came up with that. I really should ask them. Ooh, it creates fake citations to papers that don't even exist. I'll keep this thread open. What's up? What's up?
Bring this down here just because you can't really hear it. I'm going to Target.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you. I don't know why that screen blinks so much. Yeah, I want to know this 80 to 90% thing. I want to know where they get that. Okay. So yeah, basically, the current study. So I provide the content of this article. Finally, this study asked GPT-4 about how to use language models like GPT-4 to automate parts of to automate research workflows. Finally, this study asks GPT-4 about how to use language models like GPT-4 to automate research workflows. Finally, this study asks GPT-4 to self-assess on. Finally, this study asks GPT-4 to self-assess its ability to automate research workflows. Here's the thing, like if I was being asked, I would say, hey, it would be important to note that there's such a tool that already exists. I consider it to be important context for the model to be aware of the existence of such a GPT-based automation system that has been launched outside of the GPT-4 training set scope. To this end, I presented the FAQ, the frequently asked. I presented the frequently asked questions article for the illicit product to GPT-4. I then I consider it to be important. I consider it important for GPT to know that such such GPT-based automation systems that such a GPT-based automation system has been launched outside of the GPT-4 training set. To this end, I presented the frequently asked questions article for the illicit product to GPT-4. I then prompted GPT-4 to answer the main query of interest, I then prompted GPT-4 to answer the main query of interest. Finally, I updated the output. I reviewed the output finally I updated the output. Do I want to ensure that the cited papers actually exist? Feels like something I should do. So if I have this paper and I submit it to a journal, and it's in a LaTeX file, do I need to include in the paper that, hey, I took the GPT output and put it in this LaTeX and formatted it in this LaTeX file? I feel like I can just state that all footnotes are manually authored. All footnotes are human authored. And only footnotes are human authored. I then reviewed the output to ensure that all cited studies actually exist. I formatted the output for submission, for journal submission. I don't even really think I should do that. I should actually provide I would like to provide the LaTeX file to GPT. Okay, I need to be more terse with this design. I was trying to write this in the way that I would literally send it to a grantor, but I have a feeling that I'm going to need to execute it and then brush up the design for a grantor. Or like execute it and then after I execute it, put in the design what I did. Because some of these fine details I might have to trial and error, basically. The current study is inspired in part by this. I then prompted GPT-4 to answer the main query of interest. I also provided GPT-4 with the base LaTeX has a capital L. LaTeX file. I also provided GPT-4 with the base LaTeX file. To be mirrored, to be followed. Base LaTeX file for journal submission. I then prompted GPT to answer the main query of interest. I reviewed I inserted okay, so in my methodology, I can have a section which is like manual steps. I inserted the current section on manual changes to the, I inserted the current section on manual changes to the output I removed any references to, I removed references to, I'm not going to mention that if it doesn't happen, because if I send this to a grantor, they're going to be like, how many of these were there? I can mention it anyway. I'm so indecisive. I inserted the current section on manual changes to the output. I reviewed the output to ensure that all cited studies actually exist. And I added the appendix the prompt conversation, and I added the prompt conversation leading up to the final response to the appendix. No other changes to the body of the paper were made. the GPT-4, all footnotes are human authored, all footnotes are human authored, and GPT-4. All footnotes, GPT, other than the current section. Yeah, no other changes to the paper were made. I think I can just leave it like that. Okay, so writing out all 5 studies is apparently going to take me a lot longer. But at least we've made good progress on the current one. Does building public supposed to have dashes in it? I don't think so, right? Main query, the main query of interest, a work in progress. Okay, so let's look at what I asked. Oh, I also want the token count. GPT-4, like GPT-4. Are they literally just citing the same study? So let me open that. Yeah, 50 pages of text. Okay. Whoa. GPT-4 has a context length of 8,000 tokens. So how do I know which one I'm using? This is why I need to Pythonize it, right? Oh, I should check that out for sure. Yeah, I need to know if the GPT-4 that's used here, like which one is it? Okay. Chat GPT, GPT-4 has what token context? Yeah, 8,000, okay. So this is the 8,000 token context. It's interesting to know. So, differing versions of GPT-4 can contextualize up to different subversions of GPT-4 can contextualize up to tokens or about 50 pages of words in memory. I used GPT-4 through the Chat GPT Plus interface. That I might update that. I might, like I said, Pythonize it into scripts, but for the moment, this is true. Which has a maximum of which contextualizes a maximum of tokens. Of that maximum capacity, the priming information presented to GPT-4 plus the main query of interest amounts to 5 tokens. I don't know. I need to answer that. Okay. How do I get on the wait list for that? API for developers, okay. Organization ID, what? How do you primarily plan to use GPT-4, build a new product, academic research? Are there specific ideas you're excited to build with GPT-4? We are particularly excited about use cases that were not previously possible with our other models. Automated like research workflows such as automated literature review. Okay. I'm on the wait list. Hell yeah. Cool. So cool. So if I'm going to be under 8,000, I need to dice up this study basically. So if you look at this, what I fed, fucking shit, what I fed GPT-4, you can see this bullshit down here is a bunch of token. It's because I copied the graph. Look up here. It's like these graphs. Like I copied this graph and then pasted it plain text, and the way it shows up is like this. And I think GPT can basically to some degree, it kind of to some degree understands the correspondence of AP calculus, and then there's a number down here. This stuff. To some degree, I think it kind of understands that, but mostly it doesn't understand that, I think. Let's test that. But anyway, my theory is that I cannot post that basically, and I'll really cut my token count, and I'll still keep the bulk of the useful information, because the bulk of the useful information is in this narrative stuff. But let me see if I can ask it. So calculus, what is the estimated percentile of performance for GPT-4 in the area of, AP Calculus BC. So let's see if it can remember all the way back up to this top of the text, and if it can map out the fact that this AP Calculus BC relates to some goofy thing down here. Cannot provide real-time information on performance updates. There's no information, right, okay. So it doesn't remember that. It doesn't remember that token. GPT-4 is a hypothetical version of the GPT series. So it even forgot that it's GPT-4. Earlier it knew that, but I must have pushed it out of contextualization. Does that make sense? Because I went over the 8,000 number. I had my counter, token counter. Yeah, tokenizer. So you can use this. There's not one for GPT-4, but I think it still follows GPT-3. And it'll count how many tokens. And I was well over 8,000. I was trying to make sure I didn't go over 32,000. Okay, let me ask, see if it can, how many tokens do you currently have in memory? As an AI language model, I don't possess memory in the same way humans do, so I cannot provide. Okay. With plugins can probably help this. It's talking about the GPT-3 parameter count. Look how broken this is. Here's what GPT-3 can do. Bro, you are not GPT-3. Context window of 2048 tokens. Cool. So we're through with this chat because you are broken, my guy, and I don't know what our token count is. So let's here. Okay. So we're gonna do a new chat, GPT-4, and I don't have the subversion here, 3.5. I feel like on my phone, somewhere on the screen, it showed the like if it was the March 21 update or whatever, it would say that. But I don't see that here. But I know today's date. Okay. So we're going to start with this study, and I really need to Pythonize at this point, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the text version here. Let me just show you what this can do basically. So I copy this, and you see it counts the tokens. It's like 170 tokens right there. Okay, let's Pythonize. GitHub. I think I should start a new stream. I'm going to cut this stream, take a quick break. I'll be back, and I'm going to start a new stream. And we are going to get into coding with GPT in the AI Snacks repo. Stay tuned. See you soon.